Hello. We're going to go through a restorative yoga class. It's going to last 1 hour. And in order to prepare yourself to do these restorative poses, these are restful, passive, very comfortable physically poses. So you want to be super well supported while you're in them so that you can go on the journey that restorative allows, which is going in deeper to yourself. So if you've got a couple bed pillows, that would be super handy, and 1 or 2 blankets would just make you more comfortable in all the poses as well. So the Christian is going to show all of our postures today so that you can be clear on what you're doing while I'm speaking. Our first pose is laying prone, just laying flat on the front of our body. Now, you could do that with no props at all. And if your floor is kind of cushy, then it probably feels really nice. Christian and I were doing this pose earlier, and we decided that we just like to have a little bit of padding in certain areas. So I'm going to show you what feels most comfortable for us. Okay, and you can use this as an option and use it if you need it. So I'm going to have Christian come to lay down flat on the front of his body. Okay, can you scoot up just a little bit more? Yeah, there. Yeah, that's good. And then I'm going to have him bend his knees. Now, unfortunately, we don't all have someone to do this for us, but this is where we're going to place the blanket. Does that feel okay, or you want down a little further?
Oh, that's good.
That's good. Okay, so where I placed it was underneath his ankle and the top of his foot. Okay, so there's a little padding for the foot, and then the ankle doesn't have to be completely flat against the floor. So that's nice. And then he has his head on his hands, which is a perfect option. An alternative, if he were to turn his head to the side, would be to place his blanket wide across the top of the mat, kind of like a pillow. Or another thing we were playing with was, if your neck's not really into that right now, is to turn your blanket longwise, tuck it right under the collarbones a bit, and then it's holding up your chest and your head. You can do that. As you can imagine, there are various other ways that we could arrange these blankets that would make this posture comfortable, and I invite you to utilize those variations in your own practice. So if you come up with something that seems like it will be comfortable for your body and it supports some part of you that feels like it's a little extra bony against the floor or needs a little more attention today, then go ahead and adjust your posture accordingly. But the base of the pose is to lay on the front of your body so that the back of your body can release. Give yourself a moment to sink into this posture. And what I mean by that is to allow yourself to almost drain into the floor. Feeling each part of your body that's touching the ground or a prop. And releasing it even a little bit more. Acknowledging those parts of your body that are resisting the release, that are trying to hold on to protect you in some way. Our bodies are so smart, they respond to our patterns. And so maybe there is some pattern that prevents you from laying flat on the front of your body. One of them being you likely don't lay in this position very often, so it'll take a moment. We're going to be here just a few more minutes. Once your body settles down into the posture, you might be able to feel how the muscles in your back, the muscles along your spine can let go They don't have to hold you up in any way. They don't have to hold you in any sort of shape. This is the shape where they can release into gravity. If your head is turned in one direction, take a moment to lift your head up, turn it in the other direction, and then reassess the posture, deciding if that's going to work for you or if that's not quite right. And if you got a tweak in your neck, it's not going to work for today. Give yourself a moment to settle again. To feel yourself just dripping into the floor. And you'll notice that during this process, because there is nothing else to do, you get to just remain present. You get to just acknowledge your body, acknowledge your thoughts, acknowledge the sounds around you. You can pick any point of reference to tap into to bring you right here, where you are. It doesn't take much. During these passive yoga classes, restorative on Wednesdays, and we have a class called Release and Restore on Fridays, we have been using quotes from Thich Nhat Hanh. I happened upon this book randomly one day, and every time I flip to a page before class, and it happens to be the perfect quote of the day. So, as usual, that happened again today. I think the book's magical. And I'll read it to you now, and I'll read it to you at the end, and we'll see if your translation of it seems different. This is number 38, Stopping Thoughts. You can naturally stop your thoughts if you focus your attention fully on your in-breath and your out-breath. After 1 or 2 minutes of practice, the quality of your in-breath and out-breath will improve. Your breath will become deeper, slower, and more harmonious and peaceful, whether you are lying down, sitting, or walking. By practicing mindful breathing, we bring the elements of harmony and peace into our body. With that in mind, take a deep breath in and complete the exhale. Please turn your forehead down toward the ground and stack your hands under your shoulders, but move slowly and easily. And feel free to rock your head just a little bit, letting that neck have a moment. Exactly. Rock your hips a little bit as well. You can bend your knees and rock your legs a little bit. Roll out your ankles perhaps. Any of your joints that need your attention, get your attention. Okay? And then, Christian, would you please place your hands by your shoulders and push up to hands and knees and back into child's pose. So if you need to linger on your hands and knees for a moment, you certainly can. Eventually, we're going to make our way into child's pose. And Christian found it convenient to keep the blanket there under his shins, and that's comfortable for him. Would you like a blanket under your head? You could put something under your head. There are a few different ways to do this child's pose. Your knees can be wider or narrower depending on how much you want your legs to support you. At the most narrow, legs close to one another, you would be rounding your back over your legs, right? So that would be a deliberate lift and fold over your legs. The farther apart your legs are, the more your body's sinking in between your two legs. Right? You can have your thighs gently holding your ribs. You can feel your body pressing into your legs, your torso pressing into your legs as you take your inhales. And then maybe you can feel yourself sinking a little deeper as you exhale. So you're feeling the lower rib cage. As you inhale, you're pressing towards your legs. And as you exhale, you're kind of softening away from your legs. And maybe you feel this not just in the lower rib cage, lower lungs, but you feel it in your abdomen as well. Inhaling and pressing against the barrier. And exhaling to soften. As though each exhale could sink you deeper into the ground, this posture, your own state of being, your awareness of how you're feeling, thinking, what you're sensing. So in this practice, when we go deeper into a posture, it's not more of a feat. It doesn't look like much, but it can potentially feel like you're shedding entire layers of holding, of stress or tension, of something like looking to the future or hanging on the past, something that's getting you out of your content, present experience. We keep our goal pretty simple in this class, but getting to that goal is the challenge. Please take a deep breath in, as deeply as you can, and exhale, release it completely. Please pull yourself up to hands and knees. And from your hands and knees, it might feel nice to stretch one leg back behind you. It might feel nice to take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Oh, you're okay, you can do whatever feels good. Might feel nice to move your hips a little side to side, to rock your head a little side to side. Ultimately, you want to come into a seat, just a comfortable seat. And you could sit on your pillows or your blankets. Would you like a pillow? You get? Okay. Okay, and then from this seat, we're going to focus our breath. Okay, so please make sure you feel good. Your sit bones are grounded into whatever you're sitting on. Your hips are heavy, your legs are heavy. And from there, let your eyes drift down or drift shut completely. And imagine that your hips could sit even more heavily against whatever you're sitting on, your legs even more heavily against the floor, as though you just put some lead in your legs and your hips. Okay, and then out of that, lengthen through your spine. Move your shoulders a little bit so your chest is wide, and lift through the crown of your head. Invite your breath in. Invite a slow, focused breath in. and invite it right back out. Allow this deep breath to make its way through your body and acknowledge where it wishes to go. All you're controlling at the moment is how deeply you are breathing. Try breathing in and out through your nostrils, unless your nose is plugged, in which case the mouth will do. Certainly, just breathe however you can breathe, deeply. Notice if your breath is trying to get stuck somewhere. If it feels like it's all bunching up in one place, or the inhales are complete but the exhales are not, or vice versa. Okay, and we'll see if we can solve that. On your next exhale, turn your head to look down, whether your eyes are open or closed. Put your hands on the ground in front of you, and please start to walk your hands forward. You're folding a little bit at a time over your legs. Ultimate goal of this is to expose the back of your body so you can fold in however much you like. For Christian, it's easy for him to go all the way in. He could probably even get his head pretty close to the ground. Okay, but that's comfortable on his body. He does this every day. So just find a position that feels nice for you, that exposes the back of your lungs. Keep breathing exactly how you were breathing before. Nothing has changed. Inviting that breath in and out. And see if the breath doesn't move to the place that you've opened up for it. Right, you've created, by creating a stretch, you've created a little bit of resistance in the back body. So the breath kind of has to work to get over there. Your lungs kind of recruit these little pods that the air goes into, called alveoli, recruit the back of the lungs to work a little harder. So if this is where you need the breath and this is calming for you, please enjoy it for a little while. Please walk your hands all the way back if you're ready to join us until you're sitting again. And the next place that we're going to go is into the side. So take your right hand out to the right, take your left arm up in the air, and take a little lean over to the right. Okay? Yeah. And you know what? You can even take that left arm down into your lap, or that left hand behind your skull to press your head back into it. Right? Your main thought here is that you want this left side to be getting the stimulation from your breath. You're breathing the same way you were before, but the left side is now more exposed. You might even notice, since this is just one side, if one nostril is receiving more breath. Close your eyes and feel for just another moment. And then take your time to inhale and come all the way back up to center, and just pause for a moment. Take a breath or two here, acknowledging the back of your body, the back of your lungs, the left side of your body, the left lung. And then just easily crawl your left hand over to the side, stretch your right arm up, and lean a little into that left hand. Again, your arm that's up your right hand can be down on your lap, can be behind your skull. I think behind the skull feels really good. My neck tends to get really, the right hand, the left hand on the floor. My neck tends to get really tense here, and then that gives your arm a nice bend so you don't have to work on stretching it so long. Your focus is in your side. So breathe 2 more slow breaths here. And then take your time using an inhale to come back up to center. And then please crawl your hands back behind you a little bit and lift your chest up towards your chin. Roll your shoulders down onto your back a little and let your head just be in a comfortable position. Breathe into the front of your body. Again, for me, I would keep looking forward in this pose just because my head doesn't like to fall back. It doesn't feel good on my neck. So you have your options. Deep breaths and just notice where those breaths are going. Eyes closed, just feeling these sensations around breathing. And then please walk your hands forward, come all the way back up into a tall seat. Release the control of your breath and just be here for a moment. Feeling how your breath is still moving through you, and it might be a little bit slower than it was before. And it might move a little more readily into different parts of your body. Our next posture is going to be a twist over our pillows, okay? So we have 2 bolsters that we're using. If you have bolsters, great. If you have bed pillows, great. You could also use blankets if you like. So I'm going to sit one flat on the ground and one at a bit of an angle. I want to make a ramp for Christian to sit up against this so that it's just a little nicer of an entry into the pose. So he's going to sit his right hip up next to the bolster and stack his legs. This is the twist. And stack his legs. And he has this blanket, if he wants, to place in between his legs. He can fold it in half. He can stack his legs. It's up to him. And then he's taking his torso and stretching it out super long and then turning his chest toward the pillows, right? And then he just kind of squiggles around a little bit. He might need to adjust his legs. He might need to adjust, his hips might need to be more to the left or more to the right. That back arm can lay down flat beside you. It can extend behind you and just lay straight, or it can be bent out to the side. And then I'm going to have you take one more inhale all the way up your spine, all the way up to the top of your head. Stretch a little longer. And then come back into the pose. Yeah. Yeah, so I had him do that to free up his shoulders and neck just a little bit. You can do that. Enter into the pose as many times as you like, right? When I'm teaching this in class, sometimes I'll have the whole group come into it once, twice, 3 times with their breath, just to really get all the available room before settling down. So now that you're in this posture, if you feel like you need a blanket over you, you can do that. Would you like a blanket over you? And again, you can just kind of adjust things until it feels comfortable. The 2 most difficult parts of this class are figuring out the perfect posture for your body, and then just being still. Now, some days being still is a dream, and it's so relaxing and so calming and so sweet. And I wish that for you in this practice. Some days it is otherwise. Some days we have some things to work through, and they're challenging. And we have the opportunity to look them in the face and acknowledge what they are telling us. We have the opportunity to do a lot of work here by doing nothing. Can you acknowledge the quality of your breath in this posture without changing it? Can you see it without shifting it? And once you're able to do that, give your breath a voice and let it sing hum, sa, hum, sa. I am, hum, sa. Release the mantra. Release the focus on your breath. Please take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Turn your forehead toward your pillows so that your neck is neutral for just a moment. Walk your hands under your shoulders to push up. Pause there for a moment. And then carefully turn your body away from the pillows and just sit up nice and tall. Just sit up nice and tall, facing away from your pillows. You might even put your hands on the ground next to you to sit yourself up even a little bit taller and feel the two sides of your body and how you've created a shift. To drop your chin all the way down into your uplifted chest and brush your chin across the collarbones, just giving the back of the neck a nice release. And then come back to center, dropping your head down to your chest, lifting your chest up to your chin. And then curl your head back to center, look straight forward and just turn your head right and left, as if saying no, right and left. Now imagine that you could move from the back of your skull instead of the front of your skull and continue to turn right and left, just another once or twice. And then come back to center. Sit up as tall as you possibly can. Do any little movements or stretches that you need. And please enter the pose on the other side with your left hip up against the bolster. Yeah, that's good. He's putting his left hip up against, he's pushing the bolsters down a little bit. He's going to extend and then turn over the bolsters. And you can play with the positioning of your legs. Your hip is on the floor. Your left hip is on the floor. Play with the position of your legs. If you want to bend a little closer to you, you have room if you'd like to do that. If you want to stack a pad in between them, we're using a blanket for that purpose. Making sure that your joints feel neutral, feel good. Your neck is nice and long. Take a deep breath in and let your body rest here. Let your body rest on this second side and acknowledge if it feels just about as comfortable or different. For the purpose of acknowledging if you need to work a little more to let go on this side. Could you just fall asleep here? Or is this side a little trickier to find that good spot? And you could place a rolled blanket or a towel underneath your chest. If your neck is not liking this, you could put your forehead down and place your hands under your head. There is a version of this pose where the bolsters are not long underneath your body, but they're wide, which means the bolsters would just come across your abdomen. So your chest would be free, and then your head would be free, and you would put your head on your hands or on a blanket, pillow, prop of some sort. Yeah, I know that's hard to picture with me just describing it, but I want you to know that there are options, and you will find it. And you feel how this is just such a gentle, gentle spiral of your spine, so gentle that it almost doesn't feel like you're twisting. how interesting to think about us considering a pose a certain shape only if it provides a great amount of sensation. It's only a twist if I can feel the squeeze in my middle, if it's challenging, if it's creating heat. I'm only going deeper if it physically looks like my body has turned into a more contorted shape. Sometimes we really go out of our way to make our lives more difficult than they need to be. And so coming to a practice like this, where this is as deep as we're going to get, in a pose that you might fall asleep in, is a pretty big step. So good job. You're here, you're doing it. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Turn your forehead or your chin down to your pillows. Give your neck a moment. And then walk your hands back. Straighten your arms. Pause. And then turn yourself away from your bolsters, please. And sit with your legs in a big diamond shape. So your back is against the bolster and you have this big, sit up nice and tall. Thank you. This big diamond shape in your legs. Good. And you're not trying to create this stretch, you just happen to be sitting this way. Now place your hands on your thighs or on the floor behind you, and with an inhale, curl your chest open. You're just taking cat and cow. And exhale, round into yourself. Maybe walk your feet just a little more forward so it's less of a stretch. Yeah. Inhale, curl open. And exhale, round. And inhale, curl open. Good. And exhale, round. Okay. Now inhale, curl open. Walk your hands back just a little bit, and you're going to take that open curled position and lay it on the bolster. So start laying back. And then take a moment to move your arms. You can take your arms wider, you can turn your palms up. To move your arms around until they feel really comfortable. Yeah, maybe even wider. Until your chest really releases. You could place a blanket underneath your neck. Would you like one? Please bend your knees to point toward the ceiling and plant your feet on the floor. Take your feet wide. Let your knees stay here for a few moments. Let your legs be as passive as possible, given that they are bent. We want to take a little bit of time to let the thigh bones settle down and back. And if you feel so happy in this shape, please ignore me for a few minutes. Otherwise, please move your breath into your abdomen. As you inhale, your belly pushes up and out in all directions, as big as you can. And as you exhale, pull your navel back and settle your belly into relaxation. You're deliberately doing this. This is an active breath. It's called belly breath. So you're inhaling to expand your belly in all directions. And exhale to soften it back. And just a few more breaths like that. I like to use this breath to calm myself, to ground myself, to I use it for several reasons, but that's why we're using it today. To get the breath a little lower. Please take one more complete belly breath. It's also known as diaphragmatic breathing, breathing from your diaphragm. If it suits you, if your low back thinks it's okay, you can stretch your legs out for the last minute or two of our posture. Now I know you're all set up here, but if you need to carefully maneuver your way out and put something under your knees or over your body, go for it. Otherwise, just keep your knees bent. Let your body settle in. Now the pose is opening up the front of your body. But can you release one more layer from the front of your body and let yourself truly expand? This is another shape that's kind of hard to come by in our daily lives. So it might feel like it's still a little tense, like it's just not so familiar. We're doing this today in class. You can do this in your bed with these very same bed pillows. A couple minutes before you go to sleep at night, just creating space in the front of your body so that you can have a smoother, easier breath. Have a little more room to work with. Please feel welcome to stay here. I'm going to honor the time we set and move Christian into Shavasana. So before he does anything, he's going to take a deep breath. You are too if you're joining us. And then please roll to one side. Roll to one side and catch your head in your arms. All the way off of your props, all the way off. Yeah. And just pause there for a moment. Now let's start with corpse pose is laying flat on your back. So let's start with having you roll onto your back. And you just laying flat, right? You can just do a little test run and see how it feels. Okay. Can you here? And so I'm going to offer a couple of options. You can utilize any of these or none of these. Today I was laying flat on a wood floor and it felt excellent to just lay there, letting my spine align itself. Some days it doesn't feel so good. Would you like a blanket under your head? Okay. So I'm putting the blanket all the way up to his shoulders. He can walk his arms out a little wider if he wants a little more space there. Would you like a bolster under your knees or do you feel good here? Please bend your knees and plant your feet. And then stretch your legs out. And take your legs a little wider. You can turn your legs in and out a few times. And the final thing that I'm going to add for Christian is to place this blanket over his center. Now, this can be used for warmth, but it's also used for weight to help us really release completely into our posture. So once you find your corpse pose, your Shavasana, and maybe you still are in your back bend and that's your Shavasana for today, that's perfect. Acknowledge the space you've made. By taking these shapes, yes, but more than that, by stopping, by being still. And this can be so decadent, this opportunity to stop for 60 minutes. But any one of these poses can be done on its own. You can make it a 5-minute practice. Make it a 1-minute practice of just sitting or standing or closing your eyes. Stopping thoughts. You can naturally stop your thoughts if you focus your attention fully on your in-breath and your out-breath. After 1 or 2 minutes of practice, the quality of your in-breath and out-breath will improve. Your breath will become deeper, slower, and more harmonious and peaceful. Whether you are lying down, sitting, or walking. By practicing mindful breathing, we bring the elements of harmony and peace into our body. Take a deep breath in and release it. Move your fingers and your toes. Maybe it feels nice to stretch your arms up and overhead, to stretch out so long through your legs that you point your feet. Move your body as you wish. Eventually roll onto your side. And rest there. Continue to sink into the ground, even as you push up into a seat, to keep your hips and your legs heavy. And find your way maybe into a seat on a prop. Arranging your legs in a position that's comfortable for you. Resting your hands on your lap and letting your eyes close. Just observe the